G'day, mates. How are all you little switcheroonies doing? That's the thing that I always call my fans in every video. I copyrighted the word, in fact. My little switcheroonies. How you doing today? I've been doing terrific. Just enjoying doing this. Whoa. Doing this. Before we do anything, make sure to smash that subscribe button and gently tap that bell icon, or tap the icon and smash the bell, whichever you prefer, as long as each one ends up pressed in some way. There we go, that's perfect. So this is a Nintendo Switch. You might recognize this as the current Nintendo platform that they are primarily developing for. It has games on it, but it also has features. Lots of good, nice features that I enjoy. But there are lots of other features that it does not have that I wish it had. So let's talk about those features, crikey! First up, let's talk about media players. Way back in the late aughts, there was one thing I loved to do almost more than anything. Get home from work, plunk myself down in front of my Xbox 360, plug my 60 gigabyte iPod Classic right into the system, and jam out to Pendulum while I played Viva Pinata and Defense Grid. I was absolutely amazed that I could have the music coming right through the game itself and control it using the pop-up home menu, and it would automatically stop the in-game music, so I never had to dig into the settings and change stuff. If I was playing one game for hours and hours on end and I no longer cared to hear its music, I could always pipe in my own, and I just thought that was amazing. It was incredibly convenient. Fast forward about a decade, and what am I doing? Yep, you guessed it. I'm spending countless hours playing Defense Grid 2 on my Switch. Not Viva Pinata 2 though, although now that Cuphead's coming to Switch, one can dream. In fact, I'm dumping hours into tons of games. I'm spending a heck of a lot of time on my Switch, and for the first time since the days of playing my 360, I find myself wanting a dedicated media player again. I know, just about everything can play music these days. Why don't I just turn on music somewhere else, or whip out my phone? I could definitely do that. And I do, quite often. But like all the features on this list, it's an issue of convenience. The Switch is portable, so it would be nice to have another device carrying a bunch of my music. I would love to be able to bring up my music while I'm playing with no more than a couple button presses and listen to the music and the in-game sounds through one set of speakers or headphones. I don't want to constantly have to turn the in-game music on and off depending on if I've got my own music going. And you know what? A media player opens up some other interesting opportunities as well. There was this one game I loved on my 360 called Beat Hazard. You ever heard of that one? It tapped into the media stored on the hard drive and made levels that were driven by the music. Like each song was its own stage. It was awesome. I would love to see more games that are affected by my music collection. I will point out that even if we do get a player, it's very possible that first-party Nintendo games won't even let us use them during play. Nintendo very much loves to be in control when it comes to music. There are 0 sound options in like nearly all of their games, which is super annoying sometimes. But hey, as long as it still worked for third-party games, I'd take what I could get. Oh yeah, and videos are a thing too, aren't they? People like watching videos, so that would be pretty neat too. Manually putting videos on my Switch is not something I particularly care about. I'm more about the music, but if they give us a media player, they might as well go all the way with it and let us play whatever we want. It just makes sense. Seems like just a natural thing to do with your video game system. And hey, I know it's already technically possible to store files on your SD card, and I'm sure at some point we'll get some sort of media player app. There was a rumor about VLC coming a while back, but I'll always hold out hope for one dedicated player on the Switch so that I can finally stop listening to all this garbage music in Tropical Freeze. Am I right? All right, everybody? Loosen up, kid. Just a joke. We're here all day. The next feature is one that I've talked about a few times before, but the squeaky monster gets the wheel, and I won't stop complaining until I get what I want. See, the Wii had this terrific feature where it would tell you how much you played a game on any given day. The Wii U and 3DS took things further by offering very detailed activity trackers. There were all sorts of stats about every game you played. You could dig through the calendar and check all your averages, see which games you played the most or for the longest sessions, all sorts of stuff. For some weird reason, the Switch decided to ditch this feature, instead only offering vague playtimes in 5-hour increments, only updating playtime after an arbitrary 10-day period, and only displaying times for the most recent games you've played. And you know what, I will completely admit that, again, this is not a huge issue. As a reviewer, I really do wish that I could get fast, accurate numbers so that I always know exactly how long I've spent on any given game, but your average person might not need such a thing. Even as a regular user though, it's just something that I really appreciated before, and I'm of the opinion that when you introduce a fun feature, and you even have it around for a while and improve upon it, you don't just ditch it for no reason. Things should always be getting better, not worse. Even if Nintendo is like dead set against bringing back the entire activity tracker system, I would settle for just improving what we've got now. Just display times accurately, regardless of how many days it's been since we first booted up a game, and give us sorting options so that we can see all of them. It wouldn't quite be the same as it was, but it would still be several times more useful than this vague tracker. Because come on, this is the Switch we're talking about. Bragging about how many hours you've put into games because of how darn convenient the Switch is? It's a great marketing opportunity. What if we could even share our times on Twitter or something? Come on, Nintendo, I want to brag about how many hours I've wasted riding around Hyrule on a motorcycle for no reason. Next up is a pretty obvious one. When the Switch first released and Nintendo decided to focus more on games than anything and less so on services, I kinda understood that. And to a point, I agreed that the Switch was about gaming more than anything, and that we've got all these other devices to do whatever we want, like listening to music and watching movies and stuff. But as with a lot of the Switch's shortcomings, the more time goes on, the more I find myself missing some of those basic smart device features. And one of my most desired features is, of course, Netflix. The Switch has finally got both YouTube and Hulu, which is really great, especially because my dumb smart TV doesn't have Hulu, so now I can just use my Switch. But I always watch a lot more Netflix than anything else. I've got a queue about a mile long, and it never seems to get any shorter. Again, yes, the Switch is about playing games, and I don't absolutely need yet another screen in my house with Netflix on it, but it's just kind of like, why not? It would quite simply be convenient. I mean, I could see like not getting CBS All Access or something, but Netflix is like the video streaming service. And even though I've got a phone with Netflix on it, my phone screen is a lot smaller than my Switch's. I'm gonna be traveling a lot this year, and I'm sure there will come many times when I'm on a plane or in an airport or even on a bus or something, and I'll wish I could watch Star Trek on my Switch instead of on my tiny phone. I guess I just feel like even slight convenience can be worth doing something, you know? It doesn't have to be a huge deal. And even if playing games comes first, the more the Switch can do, the better. Simple as that. It's just more options, and more options is always better. So even in addition to Netflix, basically any video service would be welcome. All of them, if at all possible. Amazon Prime Video would be another good one, maybe HBO or something. I don't know, the more the merrier. This next one is sure to be controversial. During my time on the internet before the creation of this channel, there was one thing that happened to me a lot. I would find myself in a conversation about achievements, and there would suddenly be a mighty flood of people insisting that people who like achievements aren't really gamers. They're just number-chasing losers who don't even play games for fun, and they're ruining the game industry, and they probably smell too. I had such strong opinions about this that for years I had In Defense of Achievements on my list of video ideas. Instead of making a whole video though, I'll just give you the short version here. You don't have to like achievements. Some people do. Let them do what they like. You can always turn off achievement/trophy notifications, and the feature will never bother you again. But Arlo, achievements are just arbitrary goals set by the developers. How is that fun? To that I will say, imagine when a character in a game gives you a goal. Or what about when a game has in-game achievements, like on the menu? Is there really a difference between any of this when they're all set by the developer? Video games are all about go do this and you get this. It's just fun to play games with a goal in mind and get some sort of dumb reward for it. And if someone stops having fun because they're just chasing those rewards, not your business. That's on them. If some games have lame achievements that are too arbitrary, who cares? Other games will have fun ones. They're just a thing that some people like, and this idea that they shouldn't exist because I don't like them is absurd. All that said, I would love an achievement system on Switch. On the last few Nintendo systems, I always imagined that they could be badges, and you could wear your favorite 3 badges on your Mii or something. Now they don't really do a lot with Miis anymore, but you could still show them off on your profile somehow. I know it's silly to want these little pieces of worthless digital recognition, but man, it's just fun. I shouldn't be more willing to achieve something in a game just because it'll pop a Chivo, but like I said, why do we do anything in video games, for some sort of tiny sense of satisfaction. And yeah, I can be happy that I accomplished something even if no one else saw what I did, but it's just fun to share these kinds of things. I think it would be fun if someone only had to look at my profile to see that I got all the moons in Odyssey or something. It's a community thing, and community is good. Also, I beat the Bound Bowl Grand Prix, and I want everyone to know it because that moon is messed up! I honestly don't know how feasible this final feature is, because I just don't know a lot about, like, I don't know, anything at all. I could tell you Muppet trivia for a day, but I could maybe fill one page with what I know about hardware and emulation. But if it were possible to stick an Android emulator on the Switch, that would be incredible. Once more, I know most of us have phones, yada yada yada. But think about it. If the Switch had access to the App Store, it would solve most problems of the Switch missing features. The thing doesn't have Netflix? Now it does. Want a media player? Take your pick. Want some other quality of life apps? Calendars, word processors, anything? There you go. I do know that the emulation would probably be fairly limited. The Switch lacks features that many apps use, such as a camera or more than 2 touch points, and it definitely wouldn't be able to run a bunch of games with crazy graphics. But if everyone knew that functionality was limited going in, we would still be able to get a lot out of it. Because, I mean, look at the Switch. Without the Joy-Cons, the thing is a tablet, yet we can't really use it like a tablet. And that just seems like something of a missed opportunity to me. I know you can get tablets pretty cheap now, but that combined functionality could be pretty darn useful. Hey, Ma, you could get me a new tablet for my birthday. Or a Switch is more expensive, but it's like a tablet that also plays a bunch of awesome games, most of which I can play with Susie, my little sister, in this hypothetical scenario, because I'm sure little girls are totally still being named Susie all the time these days. Also, my name is Timmy, also very common name right now. I can definitely understand why Nintendo might not want to put an Android emulator on the Switch themselves. They probably want to control what goes on the thing. They want to curate all the apps and games themselves. Put the App Store on there, and suddenly you've got a portal to an entire universe of content guarded by a whole different corporation with very different ideals. Also, naturally, they don't want people to buy things and use them on their Switches without Nintendo themselves seeing a single cent of the profits. That would be a little like Walmart inviting Target to open a store in the same building. I've got 2 proposed solutions to this problem. The first is somehow programming it so that we were unable to connect to the server and spend money, basically making it so that we could only download free apps. It would be another big limitation, but it would be something not super ideal, pretty weird. So even better, Nintendo could just do what Amazon did with the Fire. They could invite app developers to basically port their apps to the Switch in great numbers. If they were doing this all through the Android emulator, it would all be very easy and fast. This would mean a smaller library than, the whole entire store, but with a little more control, Nintendo might be more willing to allow this whole emulator thing to exist. But even if I'm sure it won't happen, I can still dream of the possibilities it would open up. I can dream of how convenient it would be to just click on a little icon on my Switch home menu and suddenly have access to a giant well of applications, none of which were fighting for real estate in my primary game library. Like weird choose-your-own-adventure, age-of-sale text games. Very important that I'm able to play those on my Switch, like yesterday. I hope you enjoyed this here video, and if you did, leave a like and a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Even though I don't really need it, do I? I've already got 500,000 subscribers. Arlo was the big dog for a while, but then I came in here with my gorgeous hair and flew past him in a matter of months. It's not fair. How is anyone supposed to compete with that hair? How is anyone supposed to compete with that hair? But thanks to all you switcheroonies out there, I'm gonna end this video the same way I end every video, every time. A little dance. I call this the crikey dance. Do-do-do-do-do. Fiddly-dee. Crikey, teens crumpets. That's what we all say here in Texas.